Oh, there we go. Hey, how you doing?
Plan two here.
Yes, we are. We are full of life, and it's been quite a challenge the last 24 hours or so.
It has been, and we're just doing what we can with where it's at, and it's just interesting how this is like plan two because I actually clicked on YouTube to go live. And it didn't say go live now that I notice, but at the same time, though, I've been, and I'm going to be honest with everyone here. I'm Natasha Venter, by the way, and
Hi, Natasha Venter. How are you?
I'm a medium intuitive personal awareness coach. And actually, I'm more than just my words say. I actually work at Say Go Live now that I, and it's just interesting how lately, in the last like 3 days, I have done something with technology. It looked to me and it interacted with me like it was doing it. And then come to find out it wasn't. And so I feel like that I'm like in this dimensional warp scenario. And like I've done paid somebody in PayPal. I've actually seen my own email that I did it. And then nothing was in the records that it did it. And so, I just want people out there to know that I'm kind of getting, and I've been told that we are kind of going through this dimensional upgrade. And so, if you are one of those that works in a realm, I don't want to call it the realm of I, because I am in my own realm, but like I was telling a coworker today, it seems like those of us that have gone through the grief process or gone through these life altering experiences, we're kind of shifting into a different dimension. And I'm hearing from the star beings, my guides that I work with, that we're going to be filtering ourselves into this new process. And I wasn't even going to talk about this today, but it seems like it's just coming forth to do that. And when as we're doing that, don't be bothered, I'm going to say, by what looks like at 1 minute has happened and then at the next minute it hasn't, because of the fact that it probably did in one dimension but didn't do it in the other dimension. And so this is where I'm going to offer something to you. And this is something that when I was going through living through different dimensions, and I'm just being bold here, so if you don't believe in it, remember your truth is your truth, that I actually had to tell myself, I am choosing to see the dimension I'm living in at this minute in time that my physical body is in the room I'm sitting in the knowing that I am. And as we do that, I'm going to tell you, driving is safer. Walking across the street is safer because people see you, people interact with you. Time kind of manages you in the 3D world and the other dimensional world. And that when you can do that, there is more grace with it. And I can tell you that this updating that we're going through right now is not going to be painful, but it's going to be, if we live in another network, the network that used to be isn't going to work for us. So we got to figure out how to manage both networks, kind of like going YouTube Live and Facebook Live and other things. And Kevin, you're kind of doing that already on another platform that we have, like on our Life Between Lives. But excuse me, that there's these dances that we're having to do of being where we are, but yet not being where we are. And it's kind of an interesting process.
Well, yes, it is. Now, when you talk about the different dimensions a little bit, if you would, please, because there are people that are going, huh? What? When you say different dimensions, what exactly are you talking about?
Well, have you heard of like the veil that uh, sits between us and, let's say, the angels, or us and the fairies, and us with the animals um, talking? It's kind of like the Chronicles of Narnia. where some of the animals speak and some of them don't to the humans. And at one book, I forget which one it is, I can tell you it's the one where they came off the ship and then they ended up having to be kind of in this battle. It's been a while since I've read the books. I think it's like the third or fourth book in, that one of the kids asked, why do they not talk and why do you talk? And they said, because when the veil went up, that some chose to be servants of people, and some of us chose to be, us still, who talked in animals. And that's what I'm meaning, is the veil that is between us and other realities. Like if we're just in a 3D world, we may not see the UFOs that are flying around in our universe, in our stars and in our planes. But yet, if we are in another dimension, we see them every day. Even if we don't see them, we believe that they're there. Like for me in seeing fairies. Well, since I work in many different dimensions, even though I see my carpet, which is the 3D world, I can also see the energy that flows across the room. I can see, because I work with feng shui, and so I see that energy flowing around and through and with, and I can see the fairies. I have these different knowings, and so when we're talking about different dimensions, we're talking about being more solid, more thick, more like I don't see anything is like the 3D, 2D world. What is this planet's, going into retrograde? What does that mean? It's like that. They're so innocent about life. They're just here to do the work. They just want to get through their day. They don't want to have any more politics. To us who are like intuitive, listen to the universe, believe in everything that we kind of hear, see, and do, do we trust beyond trust? There's those two extremes. And many of us kind of walk in between those. And it depends on how grounded we are, depends on how much we can interact with it on a safer balance. Many of us who work in the higher, lighter, more, they're like a thin layer. You can see the spirits that are walking around you. It's like there's not anything that's saying you can't see or can see. It's like there's like this haze that you can see different things in, and it's almost palatable if you really can get into it. And with that as we see them, that and did you notice my lights just flickered really good?
I did notice that. By the way, Veronica's joined us. So Veronica's made it.
Yeah, we have no wind, no nothing. So there's no reason why my power should have flickered. So that is the confirmation of me talking about different dimensions that they were saying, because the rest of my lights in the rest of my house did not flicker. It was just this room, and this is my spirit room. So there again is that layer of dimensions that I'm talking about, and the more that we can ground, the more that we can to navigate through, we're not knocked off so much by what's happening around us. We're a little bit more solid on our ground. And I'm going to say grounding techniques are an interesting balance. And I'm going to talk a few minutes about grounding, because I opened up that door too. Seems like there's a new moon yesterday that was just like triggering this whole new part of me that is like saying, okay, there's kind of a filter that came off, I think.
Well, you go, girl. Let's talk about grounding a little bit then.
So as we work into more of the universal life, it's not, the world isn't black and white, it's quite gray. And the more we work into the gray aspect, more of us become less grounded. Now, when I'm talking about grounding, I'm meaning our soul with our body. I'm not saying our soul in our body, I'm saying our soul with our body. And many of us, our souls are flying around up here, not attached to our body. And that's why we're spacey, can't think, just it's like, woohoo, are you home type of feeling. And we're out here. But yet, the more that we're here, the more that we're able to be here, the more that we can manage what's around us. And I, who have wings of angels and birds, and I work with birds, have a hard time grounding. Many of us do. I'm going to suggest that if you have a hard time grounding, picture yourself landing in a tree. Picture yourself landing like a bird on a tree. And this tree could be, like, for me, it would be a cedar tree, but I'm a cedar tree. I love my cedars. I love the big redwoods too. Anything that has that solid feel to it. Pine trees kind of get it, but not quite. When we're grounding, sometimes we can't totally ground. So if you can just picture yourself landing in a tree. It's just an image, kind of like a movie that plays off in the head. Picture yourself landing in a tree, and then picture another part of you go hugging that tree. And a lot of times you can kind of find yourself getting a little bit more closer to your body.
Now, when you say grounding, describe that, because there are some that are like, I'm not quite sure what she means by grounding. So, what do you mean by grounding?
Grounding means your soul and your body being more connected, physically, emotionally, spiritually together.
Gotcha.
And because our soul is to classify is the soul is the thing that walks from between lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes. And our body is a one-lifer. It goes from the time we're born in this lifetime till the time that our body says, I'm done. But those two need to connect during this lifetime. And when we're connected, there's a kind of like a cord. It's kind of, I call it a lifeline cord. It's that if someone's ready to pass, this cord is really thin. And it's almost ready to snap. It's kind of like it's almost like a rubber band that's ready to break. It's quite thin when somebody's ready to pass. When somebody's coming into this world, like a new baby, it's also thin because they're just coming in and they haven't gotten quite connected yet. Now, like a 40-year-old, a 20-year-old, those people that are kind of like in their primes, that's a more thicker cord, if that makes sense. So it's kind of like, and when we're talking about the cords, it's that connection that we have to our soul and our body. And it's just an energy thing. Some people see it, some people don't. And as we're doing that, we're almost asking our soul to come down into our body. With our body. I kind of picture my physical body, this Natasha body that everybody sees, as the skeleton of my soul, because that soul is too energetically big to fit into my body. But yet it's around me. It is me. It's that thing that that people see. It's the aura that people talk about. That, oh, your aura is green today. Well, that's your soul ishness that is being that color, because it's what is meant to be. And so with that being that, and that's what we're going to ask to kind of come down, because that's how we manage working with life a little bit differently. I always picture, how does a bird land? And I ask that energy to land with me in my soul. And that helps me to ground.
Gotcha. So how does a bird land? I know that they're very careful about when they land and stuff, but how does that? So when you're talking about grounding, you're talking about getting your soul and your body, and the purpose of that is, what's the purpose of all that for?
As I was saying, that it helps us navigate through our life's ups and downs. Like for me, going through these dimensional shifts, the more that I'm with my body, my body's with me, and my soul is with me, and all parts of me are with me. I kind of can see the happening in front of me. And I know that was just a sound, but that's the dimensional shift, is just kind of like something kind of goes whoo, and things are different.
So tell me, can you recognize the difference between your body and your soul?
Your body is solid.
Correct. But I mean, is it the same energy? Is it different energy? Do you get thoughts from your soul that your body gives you one thought and your soul gives you another? Is there an internal struggle between the two of them, or is it who the hell is in charge? That's, I guess, what I'm asking.
I'm going to suggest that nobody is truly in charge. There's some that have greater knowledge. Obviously, your soul has greater knowledge than your body, but your body has greater knowledge of how to survive this lifetime. And so I always kind of go and talk with the part that needs to be talking to, that will help me in that moment. So if I'm talking about a past life, if I'm looking for an experience, if I'm looking for something to help me, I'll talk to my soul, my spirit, my soul. If I'm looking at trying to take care of an illness, if I'm looking at trying to see why my knee hurts, I'll talk with my body, because my body is the one that's going through that emotional process. And so with that talking with the body, and we can all do that. We can all interact with these things, but people think that their mind is not letting them. Well, I'm going to tell you, the more that you trust, the first thing you hear, the first thing you see, the first thing you acknowledge, that's usually the answer to whatever you're talking to. And there's no time for your mind to play games with it. It's just the first thought. It's the first thing that you hear. And that will help you navigate with that.
Now, is that the first thing that you hear? When you hear that, is that coming from your soul? Is that coming from your guides? Is that coming from
where you asked?
Okay.
So you need to ask body or knee, why are you hurting? And the first thing you can hear is maybe, I'm just so tired of trying to do something that you're not wanting to do. There's nothing it could be something that is just exasperation. Oh, I'm just tired. It's just, you're not giving me enough time to rest. There's something that's out there, or you're sitting in the same position way too long. There's just something that will come, the first thing, and don't question its reality, or it can be a stupid comment like, you're sitting too long. It's like, don't judge what you hear, just take what you hear and go with it.
So when we talk about well, I guess I wasn't sure we were going to have this conversation, but
I wasn't either.
We'll start and see where it goes. So in the grand scheme of things, when you talk about your body, you talk about your soul, you talk about the veil and the other side and your guides and the angels and the fairies and all. What's it about? Why are we doing all of this? What's it all about?
Because that is the more, I'm going to call it enlightened. And I mean enlightened by saying, seeing the bigger picture, navigating with a bigger of, why is this happening to me? Or, asking the questions of, oh, it's just not about stopping at the stop sign. It's about, the reason why I'm getting stopped at all the stop signs is because I need to slow down. There's a bigger reason a lot of times for things happening. And the universe, our guides, our team are putting things in front of us so that we can navigate through our life. And the more that we're in tune with that, the more that our life will be more purposeful. It will be more easier in some ways, more acceptable, more energetically, emotionally you're more in flow with it instead of feeling so damaged and beaten up by it. And when we're in those realities of the 3D, the less D, you know, I don't want to see why the planets are pushing me into these lessons. You know, yes, sometimes there's the innocence that helps, but at the same time, does it truly get you where you're needing to go on your life travel? And some souls are meant to wake up this lifetime. And the more we can engage with, why is this happening to me? Where's life trying to take me? What is my guides? What are my angels? What is the universe, the planets really trying to teach my soul in this lifetime to get me to being a lighter, happier self? Because I can say that when we pass over, our souls take what we learned in this lifetime and puts it in the big computer of the soul and gets us to where we can be more of a completed being of light and love. We don't have as many questions in the next process that we're going to go through.
Now, if you came, so as I understand it, then you came here and your soul had a purpose for coming here and had a desire to learn what it needed to learn based upon what it was talking about before it came here. Yes, and correct? And so if you don't achieve that, and you don't achieve what your objective was, or the other people in your life because of free will did not show up the way they were supposed to, or for a myriad of reasons, whatever it was, you didn't accomplish. Yeah, you didn't accomplish what you were hoping to accomplish. Does that mean you get to come back and do it again?
Yes. I would say that that's a personal choice. Many souls, it's kind of like a mother having babies. It's like after a while, the soul just kind of says, I'm ready to go again, even though you're kind of like going, yeah, I didn't plan on that when I left this last time. Moms, they forget they don't forget necessarily, but it's like there's something that kind of gives you a block of having going around 2 or round 3. It's like you have knowledge of going there, but yet you're still willing to go in through the aches and the pains of it.
That's actually a really good metaphor, because in my experience, having had many babies, my guess would be my guess, but having been with my wife when my babies were born, there is the pain and the agony up to, there's the birth process, and then when that magical moment comes, when they put that child on your chest, all that stuff goes away because you've accomplished what you set out to do. Is that kind of like a good metaphor for our lives?
It totally is. Kind of like when my mother of heart passed, I said, a baby's born, because she was being born into her next journey, into her soul's journey, which was going back home for a short time. She thinks that she was trying to not come back, and she's kind of laughing at me because she's thinking about it again. And so with that, there's these things that we go through to help us. Now, I'm going to say that there are things that we are contractual wanting to accomplish when we come into this world. And because of scenarios of, like you're saying, others in our lives that have personal choices, personal experiences, things that happen, we may not always get exactly the vision that we wanted coming into. We don't plan on the aches and the pains of the humanity. We just don't, but yet they do come forth. And when we're coming forth with what the lessons are supposed to teach us, we do get a portion of what we're supposed to learn. And most of the time, it is as simple as learning self-wealth, self-love, self-accomplishment, engagement with who am I truly supposed to be. Like for me right now, I can tell you I'm living my soul's journey. I'm not living my Natasha physical body journey. I'm living my soul Natasha's journey. This is something I've been called to do since almost the day I was born, but yet my shyness, my life experiences, my all those things that came forth in my humanity, humanness, now who I am is starting to align. That's what the word being in alignment with, feeling worthy that I can accomplish this, is that alignment with our soul and our body's life journey. Kind of come into alignment, going, finally, we're meeting up with what our goals, our contract, our calling was supposed to be. And I would say right now that a lot of us are going through the emotional upheaval. We're going through the dimensional walk, like I said at the beginning. We're going through a lot of the 3D world witnessing, kind of like what's going on in our government. You know, that's kind of the 3D world thinking, with an overlay of the greater picture trying to happen. You know, the 3D people are doing their work with the overlay of the bigger picture that's supposed to be happening, and us in the middle having all these emotions. And that is why we're here on this planet, is to work through our emotions, because that is our greater path of getting us where we are. I can tell you that me last year dealing with a lot of my emotions around electronics is making me sit here easier, because I'm trusting that part of me that knows what to do now, because I already kind of blew up that other part of me that didn't believe. And when we can work through those emotions, be willing to set forth and say, okay, I'm here. I'm getting more in alignment with my soul contract, my soul calling, my soul. This is who I'm meant to be. The more we can get in alignment with that, the cleaner our life is to be here.
So you know what your soul's purpose is. A lot of people don't, or a lot of people don't take the time to look inside to see. Can you give some advice as to how to figure out what your life mission is, what your passion is, what your soul's mission is, why you're here?
I would say, and I've had a lot of people in my sessions ask me, what is my calling?
Everybody wants to know. It's a big deal.
It is a big deal. And I would say that the more you can just be, the capital BE, just be yourself, be your, and I'm not calling about being yourself like the kid that was raised in the parents' house. I'm not talking about being the one that you have to be at work because you have to put on a persona. I'm saying be what your inner calling, your inner voice wants to be. If you want to be kind to someone that's being mean to you, that's being. If you need to be a little bit more, stop. That's being. But being means having a kindness to your fellow man's path, having a kindness to life's path, a kindness to thyself, but being more with the body, being more with YouTube's not working right now. I wonder what that's supposed to be about. You know, being in the moment. It's not about thinking about what's for dinner when you're still at breakfast. It's about being in the moment, being in that moment of where we're at. And the more that you can be in that moment, you'll start noticing that there's some similarities that start happening. Now, for me, like I started noticing that life was starting when I started being more, and I wasn't always this perfect about being. And I'm not saying perfect better makes, life makes me to do better. That I noticed that life kept putting me in places where I was a teacher. And being an observer of myself, I noticed that was starting to be a theme. Okay, a teacher. I'm a teacher. So that had turned out to be my theme because I started being in the moment. I started being like friends were starting to come to me more because I started being uh and I started being put into like the elementary school to volunteer, and which meant I was teaching. I was being an elder in the midst of youngers. There's these moments, and then I noticed that as I became more me, became more being of me, I noticed that the theme of teacher was involved. So I can't tell you exactly at this moment where everybody's purpose in life is or what their theme calling is. Now, if I look back over my past lives, I would say teacher is the theme of my soul because of the fact that where I was, even if I was my crone sitting in my old worn down house in the woods, cranky as all get out, nobody wanting to talk to me, even though I was my crone with all the herbs and everything all over the walls, being who I was still teacher because people would come to me when they had illnesses. And even though I was grumpy and didn't have patience for them, I still was teacher. And when we are teaching those moments and we are those being moments, we can kind of, if you start noticing the theme, and some of it's as simple as kindness. Sometimes it's as simple as supporter. Take the big words off of it and just go into like maybe supporter, giver of care, lover of life, lover of others, supporter of others. Go into basic themes and you may find more your passion of life. Because people want to put on the big thing of like, now teacher, now do I have a certification of being a teacher in an elementary school? No. Do I have a life coach certification? No. But I have a certification of me being me and life giving me all these different experiences so I can be who I am. Now I am an ordained minister. Do I use it? No, but it's paperwork for me to say that I'm legally able to talk and give guidance.
So when people are talking about, and I really am curious about this because life is a journey, and it goes on from the time that we're born to the time that we die, and in the interim, we have changes that happen throughout those years. We have, like the 20s and the 30s and the 40s, and I wish that I had those back in any event. But how do you know when you found what you're here to do? Is that does an angel come down and tap you on the head and say, finally you made it? Or is it, how do you know?
There's a comfort inside. There's I'm going to call it a form of success. And it's not success outside of you, but there's that feeling of success inside of you. And when you feel that success inside of you, and I'm going to tell you though, that me knowing that I am a teacher, I can tell you about 50 different ways that has come across my path. In jobs, in scenarios with friends, in scenarios with even just being here. So don't apply what you're doing in life necessarily, like the job that you have, the name of the job you have, apply how you are doing your job that you have. And that will help you get your theme into what you're doing. People have this 3D world of the physical, the computers, they have these themes that the physical represents who they are. It's how are they living their life? How are they being, capital B-E, capital I-N-G, in their life?
Okay, and if you're being not what you would like to be, how do you fix it? How do you change it? What do you do?
You really start checking into truth. Whose truth are you living? Are you living, maybe a story that the family had for you, that you have to be this and this and this to feel like you're successful? That you have to do this and this and this to feel successful? Where if you more be this, this, and this, you might feel more successful. Now, doing that may give you the money you need to do the being that you need to do. Like I've been asking the universe, if you want me to do this, you need to give me the expenses to be able to accomplish it. And so with that, sometimes when you're being, you have to expect that you're living in the 3D physical body world, that you have to do certain things and be certain things, in the sense of, like for me, I'm still a wife. I have to be a wife. I have to be a wife because I chose to have the married certificate, so there's that almost have to. Now, how do I accomplish that? That's by being. And going back to that reality of whose truth am I speaking? There was many times in my relationship that I tried to be something he wanted me to be, and that didn't work very well. And as I tell people, 2 strong pillars make a strong roof. So be who you need to be, let them be who they need to be, work together to hold up the strong roof. That means navigating through some of the emotions that we're having to go through, going through some of these turmoils, separating ourselves from what's going on the outer world, i.e., like for me, sometimes I watch the news just to check in with what they are saying, but check in, because whatever they are saying, there's some truth to it. But do I feed into what they're saying? I check into, is this full truth? Well, 99%, 95% of it is truth, but there's that 5% that I have to make sure it's not. That it isn't, that it's something that I need to check in with. And there again is finding thy own truth to be able to navigate how to be in ourselves.
See, but that at the same time, we're here living in a physical existence in a physical world, and it's dictated by a lot of things that are going around us. And it's important from my perspective, it's very important to be plugged in and knowledgeable about what's going on, because it's so easy, and we're seeing it in our culture today. It is so easy to get led down the wrong path.
It is.
Because you're not paying attention to what's really happening, and you're thinking that somebody has an easy answer and they're on a website and they can throw some stuff at you and you believe it. Well, you got to do some research. You got to be aware of of the physical world that we are living in, as well as the spiritual world, because I think they're combined. We can still be kind, and we can be loving, and we can be charitable, and those sorts of things. But I think we really, at least that's for me. Of course, I'm a history buff, so this kind of stuff really intrigues me. So anyway,
and I totally agree with it. Like last night, that my physical body had a hard time going to sleep because of the new moon. It's like there's the physical things that are happening because of the spiritual work, i.e., that's why I said sometimes I do watch the news, because I want to check in with what is in the reality of the world. I think that's one reason why the universe put me working in the elementary school, because the elementary school is so 3D world. It's like kids are having to survive, and they're emotional, and they're trying to figure out life. How is a better way to figure out what's going on in the world if you don't watch the kids? It's kind of like watching the frogs of our universe. It's like frogs tell you if our environment is good or not. Well, kids are the same way. We need to keep our foot in the door of reality, i.e., grounding ourselves, being in the physical body, dealing with the physical emotions that are processing through our bodies in order to get the bigger picture. I totally agree with staying with our bodies. My husband works in service. He works in retail. He has to deal with people every day because people are people. And the more that we can interact with people, the more we can stay in this world and work through what we're supposed to work through.
Now, question for you. He's been in the service trades for a long time, I assume, and your husband. And when you said he has to deal with people, now, does he go to work saying, I get to deal with people today because they make me laugh? Or does he go and say, it's like when I was driving a bus. It's like, I could either say, I get to enjoy myself today and deal with some wonderful individuals and some really weird folks, but they make me laugh, or I hate this. I hate my day. I hate my job. I hate the people. I hate everything about it, but I've got to have a paycheck. So which camp does he fall into? And we don't have to give.
Okay, so saying that what you were talking about was kind of maybe about the 85 mark and the maybe the 25 mark or 75 mark and 25 mark. We'll just make it easy there. And then there's the 50% mark of just kind of being on both. I say he maybe floats a little bit more in the holy crap, I got to go to work today mode. But I'm going to tell you that he was an extreme pessimist in his life. And he's walking towards being more of an optimist. Now, that took some luck.
Oh, sure.
He's been an optimist, but I've always kind of had that perception that the glass isn't half full or half empty. It's in the middle, and it is what it is, and deal with what's here. Like that day that I got the call that my uncle had Lou Gehrig's disease. And about 3 years before that, my mom just died of Lou Gehrig's disease. And I just felt like I was just coming out of the grief of that. And I sunk to the floor and going, this can't be real. But it was. It was, because it was this world's reality. That was my uncle's path that I had to support him in. And I was his legal guardian once he got to where he couldn't deal with his own guardianship. And so with that there is these physical things that happen to keep us here. But I can tell you, me working through that grief, seeing the bigger picture of what I would have to do, and being in that moment of reality actually helped me to be the enlightened person that I am today. And I mean, I'm not saying lighter or better than anybody else. I'm just saying enlightened for my own worth, my own being. I feel like that when I have a bad day, I totally observe how I am in that day, and that helps me manage me better. And that's what my enlightenment is about. It's not necessarily managing others better, it's managing me better, because if somebody else is having a bad day, I need to manage me before I manage them.
Do you feel like you have fewer bad days than you're used to?
I feel like my life is putting lighter things in front of me because I did a hell of a lot of work when I was younger. And so that was the theme that and actually when somebody looked at my astrology chart, they said, you did your hell work at the beginning of your life. Now it's time for you to have the rewards of life. And so there are going to be stages in our life where it's hell work, and I'm going to call it hell work. And there's going to be times where it's more lighter work, and enjoy those moments.
That makes sense, and so it sounds like I'm cross-examining you a little bit, and I'm trying to get trying to help our audience get, and I'm looking at it from their perspective because they don't know you as well as I do. Well, some of them do, I imagine. Veronica, I think, probably does, and anybody else. By the way, you can chat with Natasha if you want to, and all you got to do is learn how to spell and just put it right over there in the chat section, and you. and you'll be fine. And you can ask a question of her, and we'll be happy to talk to you about it and stuff. Because this really is a fascinating topic, because it is the basic cornerstone of life.
It is.
Why are we here? What are we here to do? And there are things that we can do. Like when I was in the restaurant business, I dealt with a ton of people, obviously, and I enjoyed them because they came because they wanted to. They were looking for a good time, and like your husband, I would like him to change his thought process from
his perception,
and his thought process from I have to deal with these people to these people are coming to me because they got a problem and they need help. And I have the knowledge to give them the help. And so I'm going to be very happy about doing that, except for the little Asian lady who wants a refund on a product that she didn't even buy there. That kind of thing,
And actually, him being the manager of a NEP store, he has to deal with
that quite a bit. I know.
And it gets wearing. And he tries so hard, but he's human.
Of course.
And life gets wearing. People get wearing. They get heavy, and it's like, really, can you just think for yourself and just be nice to me today instead of being, why isn't this working for me? Well, did you run your car out of gas and burn that up, or did you notice that your car was out of oil and that valve didn't want to work anymore? I mean,
did you check that engine light?
Right.
That engine light you mean that light that says check engine has been on for 2 years? You mean that light? Yeah, that's the one.
It's like, and that's the thing is that life keeps asking us to take responsibility for our own mirrors.
Yes.
I love the analogy. I was watching Oprah Winfrey show one time, and she had on this, he's a producer, I think. I'm sorry for not knowing his name. But he was talking about how that he pictures life like movies. And sometimes in our movie, like for me in my movie, on my life, on my book, I'm the lead actor. And my husband comes in at the end of the day, and he is my co-actor, And like Kevin today, right now, is my co. But yet at the same time, though, if my husband started trying to, he's an easy one to pick on, so that's why I'm picking on him right now. He knows I talk about him, but I try to do it with love. Because he is such a love. He puts up with me. Can you imagine putting up with this gray area of life?
Oh, now you stop that. You're a wonderful person. You know
me well. Now if he came home and tried to make my life and him be the lead role of my life, then that's where those movies kind of get out of balance. No, I'm responsible for my own life. And if I'm co-hosting, co-being with another actor in my life, I need to figure out how can I play nicely with them? How can we do this role to be our better benefit? How can I manage that? And with that, and I'm responsible for how I am in my lead role in my own life, which means putting a mirror up and saying, how am I doing? How are my emotions being interacted with? How am I doing with what I'm doing? And if we could just kind of be a little bit more grace to ourselves and others around us, it's amazing what movie we can play, what movie we can have, what movie in our life can be produced. And I'm going to tell you right now, with this new moon, magic is ready to be called to you. You just got to believe it. And there again, it's like Kevin talking about changing our perception of our minds. Are we in this life to be damaged? Well, yeah, life's going to be hard. Life's going to have moments where it says, have you really thought about this? Life's going to have really, you need to really think about this. But if we kind of go at it as, what is this here to teach me? Why is this in my life? Where am I supposed to go with this? Sometimes there is an easier road to it. than what we think of that self-damage, screw life, it's, sometimes I say that when I'm upset for a minute, but then I move on and go, okay, here I am. This is what I'm doing.
Well, yeah, when you say screw life, what does that leave you with as an alternative? Because life is life. It's just there. But my most favorite saying in the entire world is, and I stand by it every time I say it, and that is, Natasha, your life is empty and meaningless. Which means,
that's your opinion.
no, hold on. What that means is that since your life is empty, you get to fill it up with whatever you want. And if it's meaningless, you get to assign whatever meaning you would like to have for it. That puts you in total control over who you are and what you're doing and where you're going and who you're being. And because you're right, you can be a marvelous person every day and mean it, or you can have, issues. But as you learn to go through those issues, what are you doing over there? What are you making? You're going to do a card thing. Good.
The angels wanted to talk today, so I'm going to pull some cards for us.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Natasha Venter, the card chick person.
Card dealer.
Yes, who does magic tricks with cards.
We're coming down to the end of our hour here. That went fast. But please be kind to yourself. Life is going to be ups and downs, the roller coaster. How do we ride the roller coaster of life? Because life is a roller coaster. How do we choose to ride the roller coaster? Do we hold on in fear and in anger of why in the hell did I get on this freaking ride? Or do we kind of say, hey, that part was a little scary. Not too sure about that part, but this part is fun. And yes, I choose not to get on the rides that go upside down and flip around because I choose to ask for grace and ease. I choose to look for grace and ease. I choose to manage myself in a different way of being with grace and ease for myself. So that today or the other day when technology and I kind of had a dance and my dyslexia made me see things that weren't true, and I had that dimensional shift at the same time, my dyslexia gets triggered when I'm going into dimensional shifts, that I had to kind of say, you know what? My supervisor may not understand my total picture, but at the same time, though, I do. And I have to be kind to myself, even though there might be a little of explanation that I need to do of, I'm sorry, my eyes kind of danced and I looked at the wrong line, and that's part of who I am. I could give her a shorter version of my long version explanation, to make life a little bit less, there again, taking responsibility for my actions, but it's actually saying though that there wasn't a total my fault for what actually happened.
Okay, so explain what you're doing now with the cards. Explain this.
I have 3 different decks. I have the Angel deck, which is Doreen Virtue's Angel deck, and then I have some Oracle cards. There we go. Like I was saying, I've been triggered. Oracle cards, and these are from Claudette Baron-Reed, and then I use the fairy deck from Doreen Virtue also. And the fairies have fun too. So the angels wanted to talk or give guidance, give support through these life changes. Because right now we're going into this big picture of, holy crap, what's tomorrow going to be? Well, if we can just kind of say, tomorrow, right now, is all. Tomorrow is going to be tomorrow. Right now, at this minute, I am here being. I just take a breath. Okay. I think I can manage right now because I just took a breath. So what I'm doing as I pick my cards is I fan them out. And I'm just going to show you I fanned them out. Okay. And I pick the one that is... I have the intention while I was shuffling to ask the question of what do the people need when they see this. And so then my eyes are drawn to certain cards. And this one. So Archangel Gabriel. I love Gabriel. She's transgender. She's non-binary angel that actually helps with communication. Gabriel says, you have an important life purpose involving communication and the arts. Please don't allow insecurities to hold you back. I will help you. So the key word is your insecurities of being your greater self, being able to speak who you need to speak, your communication. You know, if you have kindness with your communication, it's amazing how you can be angry at somebody, but still nice. Okay, so Gabriel wants to help you. So we also have Yvonne. Yvonne says, you have a special bond with animals, your pets on earth and in heaven, watching over you by angels. Are being watched over by angels. So basically what this card is saying, because even though the message is this, but I'm getting another message for you, that listen to the animals. If you have crow, if you have dogs that keep walking in your path, if you have certain birds, Google and see what they're trying to tell you. There's a message that the animals are trying to tell you. There's one day I had a possum walk by, and sometimes the possum is about playing dead when you need to play dead. You know, don't be engaged with what's going on around you. Be kind of dead to it, and so that you can manage your day-to-day life. If you get caught up what's going on in Washington, D.C., and your house is falling apart, pay attention to your house, because Washington, D.C. is going to be Washington, D.C. no matter what. But your house is here in front of you. So pay attention to what the animals are trying to tell you. Because Vanessa is asking you to make your decision. Ask yourself, which will bring you closer to your divine purpose? Which one takes you away from it? So if you find that, and I'm just going to put this out here because this thought is in my head. Thank you, angels. If you decide to take 4 drinks instead of just 1, is that taking you away from your divine purpose? So do those things that bring you, like I said, that inner feeling of success, because that will bring you closer to your divine better. That brings you to your divine calling when you do things that make your heart and your inner gut sing. Because Lila wants you to spend time alone in nature, meditation, about your desires and intentions. Ask the angels to help you gain a positive perspective.
That's a great message.
You have help. Spend time alone in nature, meditation about your desires and intentions. Ask the angels to help you gain a positive perspective. Like I told someone who was choosing to leave this earth, you never know what your older person is going to be telling you what you accomplished in your life. Because there's things that our younger selves don't see that we're doing well. And our older selves look back and go, you know what? You did that pretty darn good. Kind of like me looking back, being the 32-year-old with 2 kids taking care of my uncle. At the time, I was having bad dreams that I was doing the wrong thing, and I just felt bad. I actually did pretty darn good. I actually did pretty darn good because I'm an older person looking back. So the last card, which I always like doing the last card because it's about where we were, okay? You're a spiritual teacher and you have the ability to counsel others and help them awaken their spiritual gifts and divine life mission. So this is where we're at. that we were learning how to be ourselves. Okay? Because now you deserve the outcome. Your desired outcome will be very near the future. Have patience and faith, and don't try to force it to happen. So we're in the process of growing. We're in the process of moving forward. So trust the process of getting there.
Fair enough. That's very good. That's very good. By the way, if somebody would like to contact you, how do they get a hold of you?
You can reach me at angelicclarifications.com or Natasha at angelicclarifications.com. And I am going to put on my website and also on Facebook and Instagram about me having a class coming up. I'm having a class February 9th, and it's about writing a new contract. It's aligning with the new moon. Like we're having a new moon now, so a great time to plan what you want in your future. So we're going to write a new contract about what we want in our lives. And we're also going to talk about the Chinese New Year, because the Chinese New Year is going to be that Friday after the class. And also, I'm excited about teaching this. Doing a vision board with the Feng Shui Bagua. And it's amazing. Ever since I did that, I can see my life aligning to that vision that I had on my vision board. And so with that I would be grateful to be able to teach a class and have those who are interested in that come to that class. It's not up on my website yet. It will be in the next couple of days.
It's going to be a virtual class, right?
It'll be a virtual class on Zoom. Mm-hmm.
Very nice. Very nice. Anything else you'd like to add before we terminate this here discussion?
Believe in yourself, because if you believe in yourself, then you're able to walk your life. And I know that a lot of people tell us not to believe in ourselves. We've had a lot of life history of telling others telling us we're not very good about things. But you know what? Like I told the kids the other day, you know what? Even though you can't do something, I know you can do other things, and you're very good at doing those other things. So don't worry about what people are telling you about this one thing. You have other things that are very purposeful. So keep believing in yourself. We all have a part of life that we can feel accomplished about doing. So believe in yourself and love yourself.
Because the bottom line is, what the hell do they know anyway?
Exactly. And very well put. Exactly. They don't know very much, do they? Because they don't know you when you're, thinking in your own head, do they?
Don't listen to a story that somebody else is doing and telling you about you, because there could be a whole bunch of different reasons why that story, there could be jealousy. There could be any number of reasons why somebody is saying what they're saying to you. Don't believe it. Don't believe it for a moment.
And I'm going to go back to that metaphor of what movie and who's in the lead role in your movie. And what kind of role are you going to play in your lead role of your own movie? Don't let other people lead in or be your co-person who's going to be the lead in your own movie. Be your own movie. Be your own lead actor in your own movie.
So there you go. There you go. And with that, your website again, one more time.
It's angelicclarifications.com.
Very nice. Thank you. I think today was a great discussion. I'm glad we had it.
Me too. Thank you.
We never know where we're going to go until we get there, but we got there, and then we didn't even know we were going to get there, but it was fun. So I want to thank Natasha Venter for being here, and you take care of yourselves, everybody.
Thank you, Kevin, for being my
Hey, thanks for listening to this episode all the way to the end. Hey, pretty cool. Hey, don't forget to follow us so you can receive regular updates and new posts. And remember,